All right. Hello, everyone. We're here, and today we have, I'm not going to do a Chris Roberts. It's a very special 10 times, but, a special guest and someone I wanted to talk to for a while. We have Scott Warneke. Am I saying it correctly?
You got it.
Warneke. Off to a great start here. A very creative person, designer of many things, and we're just gonna get into it. I don't want to pigeonhole you right away because you're a very talented person, and I want to talk about that. So, welcome.
Cool. Thank you. Stoked to be here.
Yeah, man. So let's roll it back. When did I meet you first? Was it? I think it was the Lizzie Armanto shoe
I think it was
launch.
the Lizzie launch. Yeah. I think that's when we met
Yeah,
IRL.
and I
Um,
talked to you, and I think it was David Garcia because you guys both
yeah.
worked on that one, and I was like, this guy, these guys, um, get it. These guys are like real, not only like footwear people but skate people, and like just kind of get what's going on. So that brings it back to you worked at Vans. You now work somewhere else. We can
Yeah.
talk about that, but I guess I just wanted to start out talking about like what it is you do in general. So like
Okay.
what do you do? What do you like to do?
I mean, first and foremost, I'm a skateboarder. I've been skating 25 years now. I'm 36. So I started, yeah, when I was 11. Golden years, we probably started around the same time or we're skating through some of the same era. And, skating like guided my life into creativity. And I was always like a wood shop kid. My dad was a shop guy. And so I was like, I don't know, just found the creativity of skateboarding to kind of complement like what I had been doing before skateboarding and I don't know, it just guided every aspect of my life. Like you just approach life differently as a skateboarder and how you look at like things available to you and like what you can do with them. So, then that got me into music and like I still play bass, I play in some bands and I skateboarding also like brought me to fitness to where like, I broke my ankle and so I started riding bikes and now I'm like a road cyclist and a commuter and run and go to the gym and all that. Like, and I started surfing because of that. And when I was down in California, so it all can kind of root back to skateboarding starting when I was 11 years old. And I think that's a pretty common tale amongst like skateboarding creatives, but it's the truth.
Yeah, it really is. It's like funny how many things it opens up, just like the mindset shift that happens after you've been skating for, I feel like not even that long. But so before that, you were talking about growing up with a dad who makes stuff, made stuff. And what were you doing before you were skating? Were you building forts in the woods? Were you making Pinewood Derby cars? Like what
Oh yeah.
what what kind of stuff were you doing?
Oh yeah, I grew up in this small town near Portland. It's like 20 miles outside Portland called Scappoose, and so it's definitely like a woodsy town. So we were building forts. I was super into Legos, Brio trains, if you remember those, like with the wooden tracks that link together with this like cool little like socket joint,
I
basically.
do. They're very
Yeah.
like craftsman-y, well
hmm
made. You can tell that they're like the real deal.
And so my first memories of being in the wood shop with my dad were making custom tracks. Like he made like a like Golden Gate Bridge style bridge that like if you bought it from Brio would have been like I don't think they made it, but if they had it would have been like a like $50 bridge. And my dad made it out of oak, I think. And so that's my first memory of the shop when I was like 6. Um, and yeah, he worked for Toyota, like, but like before that, he had, like they shipped the cars into St. John's, Portland area, and so he worked there most of my life. But before that, he was a woodshop instructor. So, and now we build guitars together. Like he's retired, and so bringing it all back to skateboarding and music, yeah, got me into music. But
That's so
yeah, so
cool.
just grew up that small town life, and luckily we had a skate park. It was a piece of crap, but we made it work. It had a flat bar and a ledge that was really tall, so I can ollie high because of that ledge. And my first attempts at patching stuff was that skate park with my dad's help, figuring out like what kind of like Bondo to use or like early days of Steel Stick even. He knew about it before people in skateboarding knew about it. So thanks,
Wow,
Dad.
not bad. Yeah, and that's funny too. There's so many skate parks around now, which is great, but when you go back not even that far, the rarity of a skate park, I feel like made them more like a little bit more of a community thing where it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is new, this is special, we have to take care of this." So
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah. For
So,
sure.
making stuff, repairing stuff, building stuff, so cool. and then skating, like what was the scene like that you were around? Were there like older skaters who brought you into the fold? Was there like a shop? What was the vibe?
Yeah, being like far enough away from Portland to where you couldn't like get there easily before you're 16, you know, before you have your license. We had our own little scene in Scappoose, and then like St. Helens with the neighboring town. And they had a little shop called Draco's, and it was named after the dude's son who still skates. His name's Drake Moore, I think. And he like rips like Battleground skate park and stuff. It's just, you know, people move away from the small town eventually. But yeah, and then there was yeah, I'd have my older brother was a senior when I was a freshman, so like 3-year difference, and so it's like his generation of skaters that I still skate with. And a lot of them stuck around Portland, but they were kind of my influence. Just you know, you look up to those people just a little bit older than you. And then I also had a cousin who grew up on the other side of Portland suburbs, basically, who still skates. He works for Nike, used to work for Nike SB, like on marketing. But yeah, it's like his crew, my crew. We'd sometimes meet up in Portland. We'd go to the Department of Skateboarding, which was Cal's Pharmacy's indoor park, like legendary, going to you know, City Stars demo there and like the first iteration of it, seeing like anyone who was coming through town. Yeah, my first pros that I saw, I think, were City Stars. Like it was crazy.
That's
Uh,
such a moment in time too. That's so cool. City
yeah,
Stars is one of those where it's like you take those people who were involved and they all had such different paths, but all like
yeah.
exploded off of that.
Yeah, it was cool to witness it like so young too. But yeah, so just and then once my brother turned 16, you know, driving into Portland, skating like the old Lincoln ledges, that was definitely like the meetup spot. You know, Silas has a lot of footage there. SIBO, because they only tore it down like 2 years ago. Yeah, so it was a lot of that, and then my cousin's crew was like really tight knit. Like I still skate with them a lot. Like, and we would go down to San Francisco, like on a long road trip for spring break, starting when I was maybe 13, 12. So I actually have like a lot of love and knowledge of like the SF scene from around then, even though we were just like little, you know, dumb kids who weren't really connected. Like we still would just like go to Pier 7 and, you know, go to Third and Army and go look at Hubba when it was capped and no one was going to skate Hubba. Um, but you know, spot tourism. So I was like a nerd from the beginning, even though I wasn't like skating at the level of everyone around me necessarily. I was like taking it all in.
Yeah, that's funny too. I feel like there's this thing that happens when you're younger and you feel like you're so outside of everything, and then you just zoom forward a few years and everything changes and people are like, "Oh, you were around for that?
Yeah,
You were there?" That's and it's like this whole world is so small, even if
yeah.
somebody's like, I don't know, a bigger deal than you or older than you or something, like
You
time
could
changes that.
Yeah, and you can still talk to. I'm like, if I talk to
Totally.
someone from SF, I'll be like, oh yeah, when I was 14, I ollied the Third and Army gap, like that, like Brian Anderson
Yes.
skates like in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
line.
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I didn't do it in a line, but I ollied it.
Still did it, yeah, which is crazy. Yeah, and that's
Wearing
like
like flared Jamie Thomas pants and like a
of
zip up
course.
hoodie,
Of
and
course.
I think I was skating a Mike V like when he had that random brand Vallely, like
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that's
like
right.
you know he's had a bunch of brands, but for some
He's had a
reason I
bunch.
liked Mike.
There we
Um,
go.
yeah.
Oh, that's a trip, yeah, man.
Actually, here's a funny at that trip specific skateboard footwear related anecdote. We went to Deluxe, like the storefront, like Deluxe SF, and and they had like a shoe sale wall, and they had the Nautis Coppice Pro Model reissue on like
Oh, on
super
Etnies?
sale. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
high top with the ollie patch, you know,
Right.
arguably the first, like it's either the cab or that. That was like the first
Yeah, some
pro
people
shoe.
say that's the first pro shoe.
Yep.
I don't know the timeline between that and the
It's
first
it's still
cab shoe, but
it's still debated.
yeah.
I think it edged out the cab just a little bit. It
Huh.
depends. It depends when things were in
Yeah,
production.
interesting.
But they had the reissue and like it was like $30. So I bought that pair. Like I was already like a sneaker nerd, like and just like skate shoe history nerd. And it was a size too big. And I still skated them till they died. Like and like the rubber was nice when I was a kid, having a rubber ollie pad.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's also like such a cool throwback to the like genesis of pro skate shoes and like what actually makes a good skate shoe too. And I feel
Yeah.
like there's some fundamentals there, and especially yeah, like the shoes from that era too, because they were really just starting to figure it out. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not that long after. I mean, this whole concept, like, of
Yeah.
having a pro shoe, late '80s, like, that was new to skateboarding, but it was also pretty new to basketball, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, the Air Jordans had only been around for, like, a few years at that point.
Yeah, and, like, the Jabbar was around in the '70s, and
Sure,
but
yeah,
those were all, like, variations of existing shoes mostly, whereas, like, once you get into skateboarding especially, or even the Jordan, which the Jordan was kind of a continuation of some existing stuff, but the Nodus was, like, completely new, and even the Caballero, even though it has, like, nods to the Jordans and everything, like, was, like, a totally new shoe.
yeah,
um but skateboarding has specific needs, and it's cool like looking back to like that Etnies shoe and like Airwalk around the same time, where they were like already like so nitty gritty into like solving like at least the wear and tear and support needs of skateboarding. It's fascinating, like that prototype series or whatever from Airwalk
yeah.
too.
And it's funny, like, that's one of those where I have to step outside of my own knowledge too, because, like, my first skate shoes were Airwalks, but got them at Payless
Oh
when
yeah,
it was, like, right after they were not
it's like
cool. But
yeah, like
I'm from the Midwest, so we were able to milk another, another 2 years out of the trend.
yeah, like that Andy Mack era, or like right before that
Yeah,
Andy Mack era.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
same.
Yeah,
On that
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say on that note, like my first skate shoe was like a random budget Adidas shoe, which is kind of funny, like from like Kohl's. And I'm like trying
Yeah,
to find what that model was, but it was a similar thing where it wasn't like skates. It was marketed as skate the way like I guess Airwalk was at the time too, but it wasn't like in a
right.
shop.
Right,
Um,
right, because like, you're getting into skateboarding, you don't know this whole
yeah,
world of
and it's like
shops and, like,
your
pro
parent is
shoes and
buying it
stuff.
for you,
Yeah,
like
oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and that's how most people get into it,
yeah,
unless you're, like, from that ecosystem or, like,
yeah,
grew up
like
around that stuff.
yeah.
So this I mean, this is also illuminating as you're, like, trying out the Nada shoe, as you're, like, digging into this stuff, is this sparking anything in terms of footwear design? Are you, like, starting to think about stuff a little bit differently?
I think so. Yeah, like cuz like like when you dive into a thing first you look backwards. I feel like a lot of people, when you're getting into music like got into the Beatles and stuff when you're young, or Led Zeppelin or something, and then you start finding out about Modest Mouse and like the White Stripes later or whatever.
Yeah,
Um
people also start with what they have, and it's what they're
yeah.
around. Usually that's from their parents or, like, an older
Yeah.
sibling, but
Yeah.
it's,
But I was like I was lucky to
equate that. Oh, sorry.
it's all good. I was just lucky to find like some like historical like stuff like early like not pre-internet, but like early internet, where I wasn't like looking on forums for or eBay for that stuff yet. And so I had that exposure, and then I had like some skateboard history book called like The Concrete Wave. I don't know how I ended up with it. Maybe my mom bought it for me for Christmas, and like it had like it it had a section on Vans and the history of Vans. It had a section on like Wee Willie Winkle, like this dude, like Canadian, like pioneer of like construction of boards. Like part of the reason that we have 7 plies of maple is because of him. And like it had stuff about like EMB. And so I got that when I was maybe 12. So I was already like a nerd in the analog days. I've always liked
That's
history, like
perfect.
even
Yeah,
in
yeah,
grade school, so just translate that to my new obsession with skateboarding, and then translate that into footwear and
right.
in skateboarding specifically. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was like that shoe, and then they're on video. I think it's summer 2002. They had a segment on Chad Muska working on, I think it's like the CM 901, like one of his like mid era
I
pro
remember that.
models. It's
Yeah,
like pretty
yeah.
like basketball-y Iverson-y. So they had a segment on like the design and development of that shoe. And so I was 12 in 2002. And so I saw that then, because I don't think we had a subscription, but we would buy the tapes. And so that got me thinking about shoes, like right there, which is wild to be able to like point it back to like one video. But that's when I started like being like, oh, I like I like shoes. They're like super functional and it's like an interesting like form and like I like I would watch how it's made on the Science Channel or Discovery Channel or whatever. So it was like that, but everything I loved, skateboarding and product and shoes. So yeah, thank you on video.
Thank you on video. So many formative pieces in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. There's still so much complexity and so much like inside knowledge
Yeah.
in terms of footwear design, but like you go back to that era too. This is a dark art. You know what I mean? Who knows anything about this? You get a little glimpse of it. You
Yeah.
couldn't just search stuff online and kind of piece together, oh, this person did this project, this person did this project. It's like, no, man, this is all um
It's like lock and key back then.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, really. So just getting little glimpses of that stuff, I could see how that would be super, super
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that like 5-minute segment, even though they didn't necessarily show everything, like gave, they go to like Muska goes to Korea with like the developer and designer. It's like it's sick. Back in the day, like yeah, a lot of shoes were made in South Korea at the time.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, I remember like Lakai there was like a Lakai ad where it was a word bubble drawn on Rick Howard and it was like, Mike, thanks for going to Korea for us,
Yeah.
Rick. And I was like, huh, Korea again, like you just didn't know this stuff or this
No.
information was so hard to find. Like taking it back even a step further, I remember when I was a kid there was like a 3-2-1 Contact episode or something, like a PBS show, and it was an old one. It was, like, old by the time I was watching it, but it was with somebody at Powell who designed skateboards, who, like, drew the actual shapes of the boards, and he was like, "Hey, like, you think you don't wanna learn math? You're too cool for math? Guess what? This angle is math. This is math.
Yeah.
This is all math," and I remember seeing it, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
It's mind blown.
Yeah. It's there. It's science. Skateboarding is science.
Yeah, right.
Uh yeah, it's cool. Yeah, some of that stuff can be so formative just seeing it when you're a kid. And now it's so easy to see like with Instagram, you can like follow like if you're into footwear, you can like there's like famous designers you can follow basically.
Here's your path, like
Yeah.
Stephen Smith, Tinker Hatfield, any of those
Yeah.
people, like, see every project that they've done and,
Yeah.
like yeah, it's so
Yeah.
accessible, which is cool. It's also, like, kind of overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be, and, like, I went through that, like, as, like, a young designer, like, seeing stuff on Instagram and just being like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I can't live up to that because 'cause there've been, like, sneaker drawers, sneaker artists, like, on Instagram since it started, basically, I'm just like, "Oh, man, I don't have skills like that, I need to, like, buck up."
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, I mean, before you even, started working in this field, you went to school for was it product design? Was it an industrial design? And like what made you like snap that? Obviously it's college, you have to pick a major, but like
Yeah.
was there any thought process? We talked a bit about the thought process of like being interested in this stuff, but was there anything that like solidified it for you?
Yeah, I went to school at University of Oregon for product design, which is just, yeah, interchangeable with industrial design, there's, like, a slight nuance difference, but they're essentially the same thing. And I was guided towards that because I knew I wanted to design skate shoes. Like I was like, okay, this is someone's job. I figured, got a taste of it when I was 12, seeing that on video, then like continued being just interested in it and like, like modifying my shoes and stuff. I started like really modifying my shoes and like sewing patches to them in suede and like really nice shoe goo patches all taped off and stuff on Vans slip-ons. Talked about this in my Vans interview, like when I was applying to work there, because like ragdoll skated them in blackout. So like when I was like 15, I started skating like a lot of slip-ons, kind of random, and they'd tear up, so I had to like make them last longer. And that's when I started like hand sewing and like glue and all that stuff. But yeah, it ended up guiding me to think about like how does one get this job? Like how does one work on shoes? And someone, luckily living in the Portland area, you end up meeting people who may either work for Nike or know people who work for Nike, and people are like, oh yeah, you could look into a design program somewhere. It's actually this kid that I was in youth symphony with, who was like a sneakerhead. He played violin. He was like, "Oh, you should look like University of Oregon starting a product design program." And so I was the first freshman class of it. I applied to the program the
Oh,
same time I applied to the college. I didn't have any shoes in my portfolio. I had some like graphic design and like skateboard, like some screen printing I did
yeah,
in high
yeah.
school. Because there's this like guy in my town who like still to this day he runs a small company called Poolside Skateboards, and he was my math teacher's husband, and
Well,
he would screen boards, and so like my like senior project was with him doing some boards,
so
and
cool.
it was pretty sick. So that helped like get me in, just having some tangible stuff in my portfolio. And so yeah, I went through product design program and was kind of a guinea pig at U of O. Like they didn't really know, like it was just starting. So I ended up taking some extra time and ended up getting. They had the option to do a BFA, like a Bachelor of Fine Arts, with an additional year. So I did that, and I did an extra year on top of that. So I didn't graduate till 2015, but you know, it was worth it. Like, definitely got to hone my skills and tried to make things go back to skateboarding as much as I could. Like, I designed a hypothetical shoe for Lakai. Like, photoshopped like pictures of the shoe of these like samples I like hand sewed. Because again, like,
Was there I may have done a bit of research because I'm trying to get better at being a podcaster. Did this shoe, hypothetical shoe that you designed for Lakai, have anything to do with lizards?
with it did. Wow. Do you find like my coral flot or something?
I'm just gonna say because you're Scott, like you ever watch Nardwar? How like he'll bring up something random
Yeah,
and we'll be like,
yeah.
no, it's just because you're Drake. No, yeah, I found your Coreflot
It's
profile
amazing.
again. Yeah,
I forgot. I forgot I had a coral flot until you. I listened to
for
your
sure.
podcast with Fabrizio, who I kind of knew from my time at Nike,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he mentions coral flot. I'm like, oh yeah, I think I have one. Yeah.
Fine.
So that
Like up
shoe,
there somewhere.
the I wish I had. I still have the outsole for it because I like poured like a rubber outsole for it, like made like a silicone mold and stuff. But yeah, the shapes in it were for the tread were influenced by the desert sand skink, I believe it's called. It's like uh, it's an African lizard that like basically swims through like a couple inches beneath the sand, or like an inch beneath the sand. So like I was in my head, I was like, okay, so grip tape, sandpaper, how can you move elegantly within the confines of the sand? And so I found that lizard and I based it off of its scale geometries. Yeah, it's a nice deep dig.
That's
Um,
beautiful, and I love that concept. I
yeah,
also just want to like take a step back too. This is
yeah,
so interesting, but like, how are you getting to this point where you're making molds? Even like having the initiative to do some shoe gooing that isn't just like putting a little bit on the hole, like you were talking about sewing, being able to like craft the shape of what you're working on a bit. I mean, at the end of the day, that is just what footwear design is. I mean, it's pretty
yeah,
rudimentary, but that's
yeah,
also like, they're clothes for your feet. That's what you're
yeah.
doing. You're sewing
You're
clothes for your feet.
Yeah, you're problem solving physically for like the confines of your feet and like what your feet need to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got it just again back to my dad, like being in the shop with him problem solving, him helping me fix stuff, whether it was like my bike when I was a kid or getting razor tail when I had started skating, like, and he'd help me fill it in with, JB Weld, like 2-part epoxy, and like he would always have me like tape it off so that way I could like have like a sharp edge that I could then, but that was like really well defined to the existing shape of the tail. So that way I could then go in and sand it and give it the radius. So it's like just like all these like DIY hacks of my father kind of helped me think about how to put that towards footwear starting when I was 15, I guess.
That's so cool how that just like grows, that just like having that little bit of perspective that
Yeah.
not only you could fix what you have, but you could like make it yours or like start to customize or whatever.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything I touch gets customized. Like I was always that grip tape kid. Like I didn't have like the
Yeah.
craziest grip tape, but I always do like some little cut in it based off of some graphic I liked or something. Or paint pens and all that. And
Did you
then
ever write motivational sayings on your grip tape?
no, I never did that. My cousin did. I remember that for sure. But like, yeah, like the Gone style, or like even Tommy Guerrero would do that. Like, um, yeah, I don't know what I would write.
I just remember I had a friend who like went out to Philadelphia to skate and like saw Brian Wenning had like a motivational quote written on his board. So
Wedding.
then I did
Yeah,
it. I just wrote the like you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take,
yeah,
Wayne Gretzky,
yeah.
on my board, and like some kid at my local park just ripped into me. Was just
Oh,
like, you know, you like, the fuck are you doing? This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's like,
couldn't
I
show
mean, it's
any.
it's true. I mean, it's true though, right? Like, you don't, if you don't try it,
Yeah,
you don't get it.
but that's like showing vulnerability. And back then in the early
And
2000s, we couldn't do that. Like,
everyone,
I got flamed for having like too much. Like, I bought like pink Wooster grip tape and like cut like some Black Flag bars into
yeah.
my grip, and people are like, why do you have pink on your board, man?
When you have pink, you're just, yeah, like
I'm like,
why would you show up in public with a
yeah,
non-standard color, with a color that's
yeah,
not approved by the herd? Why would
yeah.
you do that?
Yeah, luckily being in a small town, we didn't have the like, Forbidden 14, or the East Coast slit on your grip, or like these things to follow directly. Um, but still, people would like hate on some things they viewed with some like weird prejudices that are hopefully going away in skateboarding.
Yeah, well, and that is one thing, and I want to get back to
Yeah,
your journey of like customizing, because we're just hitting this crucial point where you're like starting school and having this path and stuff. But I did want to say that for all of the unintended, some intended, I guess, like negative consequences that social media has, like I just spent several weeks back in Minneapolis, like skating my home park or whatever, and indoor because it's
yeah,
cold there. But I did just fully have this moment where I was like, everybody here feels like so much more of an individual. And back in the day, it was the exact opposite. Like you're
yeah.
talking about, it was like, okay, if you don't have the standard uniform on, we're gonna make fun of you. And just like, I think everybody here's just kind of doing their thing, which is kind of
The
cool.
Yeah, it's like there's the pros and cons of the internet and social media and like globalization of like the scene where yeah, you can kind of be who you want to be, and I think that's awesome because
Yeah.
fundamentally that's how skateboarding has been. You just fall into these like cool guy traps, especially when you're younger. But yeah, now it's changing and I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yeah. There was just like one kid rocking full like some line between emo and goth gear. Then there was another kid who like just looked like he came off of a 7-day trek in the wilderness, had like crazy like stained Carhartt pants on, weird like puffy vest, and he was out there skating. And it was like,
Yeah.
maybe that's your fucking thing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But to get back on the path that I think is pertinent to podcasting. Um, so this is like, at this point, as you're making a decision to go to school, University of Oregon has this program that's starting. Amazing that you're, part of the first crop of people to do it. Was that, I mean, anytime a new program of any sort starts, I feel like there's a real push and pull. You're being taught, but at the same time, you're probably providing a lot of guidance to like how the program will form. Was that a cool experience? Was that frustrating at times? Like, let's talk about that.
I think it was cool. It made us be improvisational, which I think like I already had some exposure to like as a skateboarder, of just like being able to like see potential somewhere and like DIY it and bounce ideas off your friends. And I mean, I learned as much from like my buddies, like Stefan, who's now a footwear designer over at Nike. Um, and has been there for like over a decade now. Like he and I were kind of like going through the trenches together, just like figuring out, because like there was a crew of us who definitely wanted to do footwear. Some people end up doing toys, some people end up doing furniture, some people ended up web designers out of it, just figuring out, oh, I'm really good at presentations. And we would all teach each other. Like my friends who were good at presentations taught me how to use InDesign. I taught people how to laser cut using Illustrator files. It's just kind of this like share, like skill share, and I think not that my professors didn't provide anything because they're great and I'm still in touch with a bunch of them, but there was growing pains and we were all going through it together. So I think it's cool. It made it less competitive. I think I now like go back and do a little advising at the school and go to like design reviews and stuff and give feedback and try to mentor as much as I can. And they're under a lot more pressure than we were, because like the level has just gone up and the internet and like social media and like everyone's use of technologies has gone up from where it was. Um, and it was like, 11 years ago, I graduated and it's still like, it's just phenomenally changed. So I'm like lucky I went through in the kind of cutty times of it. But yeah, I don't think it was ever like frustrating or anything. It was mostly fun, and we had a bunch of all nighters all together in the studio, just trying to get shit done. But I think that makes you stronger, and it doesn't totally change when you get into the professional world. Sometimes you gotta grind it through.
I do just kind of think about like you knew what you were doing. Like you knew you had a path, and I just wonder about how many other people you're talking about. There's a big diversity in terms of what people were interested in, what they wanted to do. And I just like kind of look back on that school era as the times where things were like more open ended. I look back and I'm like, that was honestly not the best for me. It was the best for me when somebody, and you were saying, I want to get your feelings on this, but you had people explicitly telling you, Here's a path. Like these are the things that we see that you're skilled with. You could pursue this path." Did you feel like that helped you? Do you feel like it helped to have people saying that, or sort of be around a path that was established? Because I can also see like, I don't know, that can feel confining to some people, and I just wanted to hear what you said about that,
Y-
or would say about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, I kind of like helped. I like narrowed it in pretty early. Like I was exploring a bunch of other stuff in college too. I loved ceramics and slip casting and furniture. I interned at Specialized, the bike company in Morgan
So
Hill,
cool.
California.
Yeah.
Got to skate San Jose a bunch that summer. And yeah, so I was like, into bikes because of getting into it after getting injured. And so it's not like it was like always super laser focused, but it is what like was the impetus to get me to college. I still kept skating. I still kept trying to do it. But I'm like a weirdo. Like not many people are like 16 and like start like, or 17 and start applying for college and like know exactly what they want to do. Like there's rare even in the design program. There was like a few other people who were like footwear focused. And like my friend Maddie, she wanted to be a toy designer and she's like, I want to work for Barbie. And then she ended up like, she only recently left American Girl. So it's like, which was a Mattel company. So like
Right,
she like
right.
made it. Like her and I are like the ones who had these weird like childhood dreams that like followed it into design. Um, so yeah, I don't think it was like constricting or anything. Like it just gave me like a goal. And I didn't always know how to reach that goal because like
Yeah.
I got lucky with timing on getting into my career jobs. Um, because skateboard footwear design's pretty rare. Like in the last like 15 years, if someone designed a skate shoe, chances are I at least kind of know them.
Well,
Um,
and that's so interesting too, like the pod I did with Leif, like
yeah,
he sort of said something similar where it was like, I brought up the point that you just made where it's like, how many people get to do this? You can have footwear design as a whole. It's not that
yeah,
many people, and then specialize within skate. That's, man, like we could rattle off those names right now, which is so funny. But
totally.
if you are really like, no, this is the thing, this is what I'm doing, that separates you up from all the people who are like, I'm a graphic designer professionally. I, like score films professionally. Yeah, I could design a skate shoe. It's like, maybe, but if you're like,
Yeah.
"This is my thing, this is it," you're gonna be on that straight path toward it, so that's really cool.
Yeah. And you're going to just be a total student of it and just obsess about it. And, we all stay like Leif has a similar background. Like he's a homie. Like he was our intern at Vans right before COVID hit. So like, I'm so stoked like that he got to do the pod and that like he's doing so well over at New Balance, like so hyped. But like we go into it like, okay, skateboarding, you know, Leif's way better than me. So maybe he had more aspirations of this than me, but I'm like 16. I'm like, I'm not going pro. But I want to work around skateboarding. So like that kind of is how I made that connection. And Leif, like having sponsors and stuff, he probably like got some exposure to some cool shit and was
Which
like,
you could be harder because I like well, I wanna hear it from you first. Like, did you have a moment where you were like, "Oh, shit, I'm not gonna be a pro skateboarder?" Yeah.
yeah, it was like 15 years old, 16 years old. I was just like, everyone's got more flip tricks than me. I'm just a hucker, but I can't quite have the finesse to do grinds on rails, like only like slides. Like I was like a front side board slide, like down like a like 7 stair. That's like the best I ever did. And it's like, yeah, I could 180 stair sets, but I couldn't necessarily kickflip every stair set. So I was just like, yeah, I just love skateboarding. How do I keep this in my life? And I wasn't too bummed about it. I never got like a sponsor. I like only started getting free shit when I started working in the industry. And I still to this day like buying boards. I don't want to like hit up like the deluxe hookup or whatever when I can like support the shop I like. Um,
We need everybody needs more of that
Yeah, I
attitude.
know it's tough. No shame on the free plugs. Like you got homies do it, but yeah, I just love like going to Commonwealth here in Portland, or like I was like Jokers and Furnace down when I still lived in SoCal. Um, but yeah, so I just kind of realized like the act of it isn't for me professionally, but there's something here, and there's an industry and a love, and so I just pursued that into design. And I think it sounds like Fabrizio kind of did that post concurrently, and then post his pro career in Brazil, and Leif, and like I mean you
Which is
look
a
at
trip to being pro and being like, "I have this other skill set."
yeah, it was great to see. I mean, there was another Scott who worked at Adidas who I'm following in the footsteps of, who was a pro. So uh
Who is
Scott
maybe
Johnson.
one of the best pros ever,
Yes,
too, one of
I
the, like, most stylish people
so
ever, so
stylish in every aspect. It's his design work is phenomenal too. And I had his boards. Like I had a few of his chocolate boards, so it's like wild to be like a couple years after him at
right,
Adidas.
man. That's a cool place to be. Oh, just on the
Oh
note
yeah.
of the moment you or times that you realize that you're not gonna be a pro skater, um, mine was I grew up skating with a kid named CJ Tambernino, who was RIP, who was kind of amazing at skateboarding, not kind of. I went out skating with him one time to this ledge spot. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I can do backside 5-0 on this ledge." And he was like, I'm not really good at that trick. I can't really do this." I was like, "Really?" By the end of the session, not only could he backside 5-0 the ledge, he did backside 5-0 shove it out, and then learn them switch in that same session.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, this is like being good at skateboarding. This is what
Hmm.
this is." And it was like, "Yeah, that's not gonna be me."
Yeah. Yeah, there's always someone, and then you realize like, oh, that guy might not even be able to go pro. And like seeing that in the Portland scene of like just like all these like local like Cal's Pharmacy people like with parts in like the local videos, and it's like they're barely am for think or whatever. Like Jesse Bracewell had a hard time making it past like that level or whatever. So
I remember Matt like hearing about Matt Beach
hmm.
after that like fucked up firm part, and somebody was like, "Yeah, he works at UPS." And
Yep.
it's like, what is wrong with the world?"
Yeah, it's such a shame, and that's super well known in Portland, the UPS of it all, and just like Matt's like everyone's favorite. And
Yeah, and
um
that's back when there was like more kind of money floating around skating too. You know what I mean?
I mean, he was skating for, Adidas, and like
Yeah, totally.
and
Yeah,
Lance and the Gons had shoes, and actually Matt Beach had a pro shoe on Adidas, and yeah, it's still hard to make ends meet.
yeah, yeah,
Portland's a small scene.
yeah.
And he moved down to California at some point, but you always end up back, and yeah, it's weird. But you see that, and it's like, okay, if those guys are having trouble, there's no way for me. But I love
Totally.
skateboarding.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the long and short of it. So,
Yeah,
okay, so you
yeah,
go to school,
yep,
the program gets you making stuff, gets you making the kind of stuff that you wanna make. That makes
yeah.
sense. What do you when it's time to start wrapping up, are you cold calling companies? Do you know people? Again, like, it's so cool that you know this very specific place where you fit, but just like pro skating, that doesn't mean that you can necessarily make it a career. How did that work for you?
Oh, man, it was, uh yeah, cold calling was, like, a little bit hard, like, I didn't have, like, the connections, like, being, like, a little away from the footwear world out or the skateboard world outside of, like, I had some, like, connections in at Nike, but, like, not necessarily skateboarding at the time, and, just through, like, professors who had worked there. Um, but I did, like, in between, like, basically a summer job, essentially. I worked contract for Nike customer service, working on the Nike SB app, doing like basically like fielding questions about it. It used to be one where you'd like upload tricks and you'd get points for, and
I
I'd
know
have to
that.
go through and
Yeah.
check videos to make sure like that guy saying he landed a varial heel for this challenge did a varial heel. And there were two of us, me and this homie Brent, were working on it, and he's still full time there. Like he's like moved on beyond that, but it was like us just doing that, and then I also had to like field calls for like the running app occasionally too, just because it was all like CS all together. But because of that, I had a like Nike email, and I was able to like, and I still had like one more term to finish at college, so I was like utilizing that email to like have like informational meetings with people. And but outside of skate, like I met like David Nicholas, who's one of the main designers there, but there weren't really openings there at the time. But it was nice to get like friendly with them and skate with them because there's like Tron, the skate park down the street. So I started getting to know people. Sean Baravetto, who was a PM there. Um, but my way in that I saw was like prototyping shoes. They have like on-site innovation prototyping where you make like super functional shoes to like test ideas, or you make like beautiful shoes for like people to wear, like athletes to wear casually. And so one of a guy who graduated a couple years before me at U of O was got that job right out of college, and because we were all pretty hands on at U of O, like a lot of prototyping. So he was like, "Oh, I like woodworking, like I did, and like how do I get that in footwear?" And so he basically recommended me for the job, and like I got to get meet his bosses. And because like before that, I was like trying to think of like how do I get to California, um, and so I was like trying to like network with people at Lakai or whatever. Like just like I did send out like a couple emails, just like finding it. But anyways, like basically found out like okay, I could get over to Nike. That's in my backyard, and I didn't think I would be a Nike person. But yeah, ended up getting that job, and it was a great like first job out of college. Like started like half a year after I had graduated, and got to really learn the professional fundamentals of footwear, which I think I was like well situated for because I've like figured it out on my own a little bit. But then like just getting the nitty gritty, and I worked on a couple little skate things here and there, but just kind of after hours really, like because like those were the homies, and I just like they're like, oh hey, can you glue this sole to this upper and like add a panel here? And it's like sure, for sure, come at 5. And because our bandwidth was mostly for like Nike's prime pillars of like running, global football, soccer, and like basketball. So I was working on a lot of soccer, a lot of running. So that was like my day to day was sewing up, gluing up, potato heading, like modifying, like bringing shoes together to like test things. Um, so yeah,
I'm
that
curious about that too. Like, did that also have any sort of indication to show you at all, like, where skateboarding fits in? Because, like, I would have to imagine at a company that size that makes so many different things, skateboarding, although we all know, like, SB, there's this focus, small in comparison to running, soccer, basketball.
it did make me realize like how small it was comparatively, and like I think the folks within SB know that, but like use it to their advantage. It makes them more nimble, and it also makes them a tighter crew. I mean, like people stick usually at Nike, they move people around like all the time. Like a
Yeah.
great designer in soccer will then go to basketball, but like people stick around at SB. Like David Nicholas has been there 10 years, at least 12 years. People kind of stick around if they want to, and because they keep like the skate mentality there, and the people who really like sweat the details and know the culture. So it's something I really respect about them. And but yeah, but it's just like they know it's small, but they try to do with it what they can. Um, and I think like, yeah, I think you talked with like Fabrizio about it, like about like, oh, this was like a running, like Lunar Lawn was like a running thing. but they want us to use it in skateboarding. Like, how do we do that in an authentic way? And that's always the challenge within a big company, is how to take a bigger brand initiative and like work it into skateboarding without it seeming forced.
Oh, for
Um,
sure, yeah.
yeah,
Like you can't just like grab something, say, "Oh, this isn't a basketball shoe. Hey, it's in skating. Why? Why does it
yeah,
belong here?" And I understand
yeah.
that.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was like a sick first job. I did it for about 2 years, and, you know, coming from a very tactile, like, maker background, it was perfect, and I kinda thought I would, like, work my way up through it, but then, Vans hit me up, to progress this, my story on, like, Vans, like, I got hit up, just because they were looking for, like, a junior level, like, entry level designer who had, like, a little bit of footwear experience and also, like, the knowledge and passion for skateboarding. So there weren't too
Nice.
many of us back then. So yeah, I got cold called for that one and went down for an interview back in the day when they actually flew you for interviews.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. So speaking of corporate practices changing, was, who was running the show? It was Neil around at
Yeah,
the point? Yeah.
yeah. Neil was my boss, and um, yeah, he was like one of the main interviewers. But also, like, yeah, David Garcia was in the interview, who was my developer, or one of two developers I worked with. Daz, who was his boss. Like, it was like a big panel. I guess I had some like phone calls with Neil first, but yeah, they brought me down to Costa Mesa, like right after they moved into the new headquarters, and yeah, just they were looking for someone who knew shoes and they could like, you know, my drawing skills were shit at that point because like I'd been like so like hands on for 2 years, but they saw past that, and we just like had like the interview was great. We just talked about skateboarding, and like I printed out a portfolio, like I had like a digital presentation to show, but really I just brought a bag of shoes that I worked on, like some things I did as like personal projects when I was at Nike to like modify Potato Head, whatever, Frankenstein some stuff together, or like laser cut some panels and skated them. So like, you know, skateboarding is like a super tactile thing. So I think like the physical things you work on like sell better than drawings, really. Um,
I get that, and just having that, 1, mentality, but 2, having a little bit of design experience specifically, like, within this
yeah.
tiny world or even adjacent to this tiny world a little bit, I couldn't imagine that they were interviewing too many other people who fit the description that well.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a niche thing, you know. But I actually have my they assigned me a like hypothetical brief for that, and it was like for an Abe shoe, and I have my janky ass prototype I made mostly at my dad's house. Um,
Beautiful, you have it here, let's run through, let's
yeah,
talk about it.
so
Whoa, okay, okay, I
so
like
this
it.
was yeah, this it's warped because it's now like I guess that was 2017. So yeah, it's like 9-year-old shoe that's warped, and I did it mostly like at my dad's house and used U of O's a few of U of O's machines, like sewing machines, to get this done because like my old professor was like an advisor of mine at the time or mentor. Um, but yeah, like it was to design. Basically, they gave me the brief that ended up being the Ave, like the Ave Pro. So it's like take Abe's shoe mentality and like advance it to the future. So I was like going through this like no so Volk exploration, and I was like, okay, it's going to be cold Volk. And so I went to the Van store and I bought 2 pairs of shoes. I bought like I think a Chima I stole the sole from, because I had no way to like make a sole from scratch, not using Nike stuff at the time, and obviously can't use Nike stuff. But I wanted to show some tech, so I like bought one of those like light, like whatever, like classic lights that had like a foam bottom, and like cut it out because that's something I could do with my own, you know, Dremel, and then like paste it in. And I had this idea of like calling it like a cold Volk, where you like Volk it first and then you apply some foam.
Do you wanna
Um,
get into that just for a bit for the folks listening?
yeah,
Vulcanization, heat is used normally. You
yep,
have a
heat and
different approach
pressure.
to this? And
Yeah.
and 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 even just to just, like, back it up, vulcanization, I'll let you explain it, you're the professional, but rubber needs to have certain things happen in order for it to be usable for a shoe, right?
Yeah, yeah. It needs to cure in one way or another, and things can like cold cure and like you know, like a cup sole where it's like poured in, and then it just like basically sets over time in that mold to create its form. But then like uncured rubber, you can get like strips of like vulcanized tape, like we call this tape, like the foxing tape, which creates the sidewall. So that is uncured and basically comes out of like almost like a Play-Doh mold where it like pushes it out, it extrudes it. And so that's how you get like there's like on a Vans shoe or a lot of vulcanized shoes, there's like 3 layers of vulcanized tape. There's this base layer that often has like a stripe at the top. There's this textured layer, and then there's the toe bumper. So all those are uncured rubber, and they're just like gum. They're not like they'll like droop just in the air, but like if you hit them with your fingernail, like it'll leave like a permanent mark. So because it's like taffy. So you have to send that through an oven to get it to cure. And when it does that, it like molecularly basically bonds to the other rubbers that are being uh, uh, vulcanized at the same time. So through the use of heat and pressure, they go into like a hyperbaric chamber. That's just this like looks like a submarine that just a bunch of shoes get put in, and the sole's the same thing. So the outsole um, is made out of uncured rubber as well. So ideally, these should be bonded like perfectly. I mean, sometimes things, delam over time, but fundamentally they're connected better than glue to each other. Now you have to have some glue to then have the rubber attached to the upper, which are made out of different materials. It can be synthetics, it can be suedes and leathers, but that's where most of the delams you see on a vulcanized shoe are. Is like in your flex zone, you see it like peeling away from the upper. So, anyways, that's vulcanization. It's just heat and pressure and uncured rubber.
Beautiful. And thank you for explaining that. The amount of times that the discussion of Volksole versus Cupsole is just
Mhm.
happens all the time. But then like to get the actual perspective on like what is
Yeah.
vulcanization, why is it used? So
Yeah, because
awesome.
then
And
there's like, like this is like historically like Gazelle or similar shoes are vulcanized as well, but sometimes when you've got like details like that are like molded into foams, or you have certain materials that can't go through a vulcanized oven, like on this sample that I was making, like it has like these no-sews, which are heat pressed, and because they're heat pressed, they're susceptible to heat, so that
oh.
could delam in the oven. So that's why you couldn't do this shoe fully in an oven. And I had some like workarounds for that. That would just involve more labor. But that's why like on a shoe like this, like maybe it won't be actually vulked. It'll be like glued. Um,
And I
but
just
with
want
really good glues.
yeah, and I just wanted to, like, highlight this maker's mind or this, like, perspective that you have as, like, a true maker because, like, I could honestly see someone coming into that same interview with just, like, a bag of sketches and being like, "Yeah, this is what a cool shoe looks like. Oh, you wanted me to design an Ave shoe? Guess what? It's this shape, it's a little bit
Yeah.
different. I threw a, like, Iggy Pop quote on the, like, insole. Bang, that's your shoe." You're
I mean,
like
I kind of did that. I brought like the logo from like the Adolescents, uh, and because I was
sick,
like
sick, sick,
hypothetically
sick.
making this a Spitfire collab. You can see like it's off centered because I didn't last it correctly because I did this
Right.
in a freaking
However, I need to
kitchen.
highlight that you actually sewed and constructed the entire shoe yourself.
Yeah,
This is the difference. This is the difference I'm talking
yeah.
about.
I mean, I'd been doing it professionally for 2 years at that point, but doing it like without the right tools was kind of fun. Um, Yeah, yeah. So people like part of footwear design is like color design and like graphics and stuff. So I was
For
like
sure.
trying to show that muscle, even though like this was more about making it. But I'm like, yeah, he skates to Adolescence in Propeller or whatever. I'm like, oh, I love Adolescence. Let's rip off their logo.
So cool.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, I took that and like a bunch of other bag of goods to Vans and just talked about skateboarding. It was great. I was like, everyone here skates except for Daz, my developer, but he loves skateboarding. He has
Oh,
more
yeah.
board. He has a thicker stack of boards, like collection than like most people, and
Yeah,
hangs them
I
on his wall.
that's amazing. I am always like when I get around people in the skate world who don't skate, I'm just kind of like, there must be something cool about this to you because it's like to your point, skaters just kind of talk about skateboarding. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? We all just like kind of talk about it. So it's like to stick around, there must be something that you really get out of this because any other thing I would get board, like people I fish with.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, you guys talk about fishing too much.
Yeah, I get in that with golf. You know how many skaters golf now? I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Oh, for
cool.
sure.
I
Yeah.
respect it. That's probably what it's like when I talk about cycling or something. Like, I get it.
Totally.
All right, not for everyone. But yeah, like Daz, like he was there for the conversations. Like he came from like he worked for and one, and so
Yeah.
like the street ball
Oh,
of it all. And he's like
loved it.
this. He's from Philly, and so he's like all about that culture. And he just like saw the parallels to skateboarding, and so he was down from day one.
That's amazing. And one mixtapes,
Yep.
formative,
Oh, he was there
legendary.
in the prime era.
So
So
sick. Oh, those
yeah.
those are like I still watch those.
Oh yeah.
Um, amazing. Okay, so we're talking about progression,
Uh-huh.
Vans. You worked there. You got to do some cool stuff. Did you get to work on an Ave Pro shoe, the Ave Pro shoe?
Yeah, so the Ave Pro came out, like I saw it on the wall, like right when I was starting. Like it was pretty well baked. Neil designed that. And then I got to help a little on the Ave 2.0, like I sketched on that, tried to help some of the progression of that technology. Cause you know, like that went from like a simple, like relatively simple, like clear cupsole that was on the original Ave Pro with like a co-molded, like
Right,
actual
right.
foam midsole. It went from that to then having like a TPU, TPR, like kind of like clip around it, and no longer had the clear on the bottom, like for the Ave 2.0. So that's something like I helped Neil sketch on. But Neil's like he's the Ave guy. Like they go back long time, so it was like definitely going to be a Neil project. But like me and Claude, who I know you've talked with before, like Claude and I were sketching on that project too. And
Shout out to Claude.
he's a G, man. Like working with him, he was there most of the time that I was there. He started like a year after me, and so yeah, just like us working as like a trio. Like basically every project we would all sketch on it at the beginning, and like and jump in when we could to help. Like it was like it's still to this day. Like I keep in touch with them, and they all operate like really tight, and it's just like a cool crew of people who all skate. But so yeah, the Ave 2.0, I like fractured that off to like I did a BMX shoe with a similar technology. Um,
Nice.
and so this was called the Peak. And so I was doing this at the same time Neil, so we were kind of like troubleshooting some stuff together, and weighing in on like the development and like how things were going to function. Yeah, I ended up working on a lot of BMX stuff at Vans as well, just because like the pretty rich heritage of BMX at Vans, and I was the guy on the crew who they're like, you don't BMX, but you mountain bike, like,
Close
and I'm like,
enough.
yeah, yeah. And then it's like also like I just respect the hell out of them, like because it's like a lot of especially modern BMXers approach BMXing so similar to skateboarders. Like Dakota Roche, one of my favorite dudes that I ever worked with, and he skates, and the way he like wall rides on a bike is like the same way he wall rides when he skates,
That's so sick.
and he just charges. So I always like gave it the respect, but this was like always side projects. Like skate was primary focus, but this product still needed to get made, and I wanted to give it the love it deserved. And it was cool being able to work on something like at the same time as Neil, like in the same vein as the Ave. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I got to work on a lot of stuff there. Mostly skate, but yeah, I even did a couple kids shoes here or there.
Yeah,
It's like a small enough crew. You just kind of help where you can. But my title was like skateboard footwear designer the entire time I was there.
that makes sense. And you were there for a few years?
I was there for 6, like a
Wow,
little over
not
6.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I left in March of 2024. Yeah, and I started in 2018.
Wow, yeah,
Um,
man. That's a
and
tenure.
yeah, it's a long time. Like being an Oregon boy, like I never thought I'd like last that long in California. But
Yeah, I that the lifestyle shift too.
yeah, it was different. But thank God I had skateboarding, and like,
Yeah,
I have lifelong friends. Like, I barely knew anyone before I moved there. Like I knew this dude, Brent Allen, who was a developer at DC. I knew him before I moved there just from like internet nerdery. Like we were just
for
both like
sure.
kind of connected to like that Ripped Laces website.
Oh, yeah, replaces. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeremy, he's a New York boy too.
Right.
Yeah, he connected me to some people, and I like wrote some articles on some like DIY footwear stuff there. So I like when I was still in college, so I ended up like meeting Brent through that. And then like when I moved down there, even though I'd only met him in person once, like he just like introduced me to everyone, like out like any of my skateboard friends outside of Vans, like I initially met through him. And now he's at Vans. He went to Adidas.
This
We worked
happens.
and in LA, and then now he's back at Vans, and it's cool. He's on the development side, so Um, yeah, and like, this is a good place to explain what like footwear development is, because you've mentioned like David Garcia, I mentioned like
Yeah,
Daz.
yeah.
So like a footwear developer is basically like a footwear engineer who communicates with the factory to make sure like your drawings and your concepts become real. They're like they're the magic makers. They have a real technical knowledge of footwear, and like that partnership is so important. Like, and I've been blessed to work with some great footwear developers, and especially when I was at Vans, like developers who um, really gave a shit about skateboarding. And David Garcia, he's back on the skate team. I heard recently,
So
like he had
sick.
gotten moved over to snow, which was
You
really
said like
cool.
snowboard boots or something? Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing snowboard boots, and yeah, he's back on the skate squad. And our old intern, Jake Crawford, is now like he basically took my old job,
Sick.
and he's a super awesome skateboarder from Kansas. And yeah, it's cool. Like everyone there gives a shit about skateboarding, and knows footwear. And so yeah, those developers, they make shit happen. Every brand, like they're the heroes.
Shout out to the developers.
Yep.
So after Vans, what was going on?
So yeah, I just like wanted to move home at a point. I'd been down there for 6 years. I got to work on a lot of great things. Like super proud of, the Lizzie Pro models, the high and the low, and the Skate Classics rebuild. I did a lot of that, like trying to make sure like all the like did like outsole design for that stuff to make them last longer and be a little stiffer. I'm the nerd, so I did like making sure like the patterns were super vintage accurate and all that. So, but that was a team effort too. We all kind of worked on it. Yeah, got to work on a lot of great stuff, and it was like hard to think about leaving, but I wanted to get home. My mom passed away in 2022, and
So
so
sorry,
that
man.
was, yeah, it was, and she was just like such a great support of like my skateboarding. She was like a soccer mom for skateboarding, and so yeah, I just wanted to get home, be with family, and so I made the hard choice to like leave my family of skateboarding, and I got a job back in Portland working for Lululemon, working on footwear innovation. So they have like a small footwear office in Portland in this area called Slabtown, actually off Xavier Street, which is great.
So sick.
And like I still pronounce it Xavier because that's how the skateboard brand pronounced it. And so I was like correcting everyone at the Lulu office while I was there. And people are like, I don't know if that's accurate. I'm like, well, it's accurate within skateboarding.
Within skating, everybody said Savia. Yeah. Do people say savior there? Or what do they say?
Yeah, but everyone who was trying to tell me that it's Xavier, I'm like, you didn't even grow up here. Like I've been
Yeah,
calling it
right.
Xavier. Like I need to check with some old head who like is, been here since the 50s, be like, how is it actually pronounced?
Right.
Because we have some weird street names, like Couch Street is pronounced Cooch. It's spelled couch, but it's
Oh,
pronounced
this
Cooch.
is the um I want to say bane of my existence, but it's not. It's something I find endlessly fascinating. Local, regional pronunciations of
Yep,
places. I think
yep.
of a town in Minnesota that is spelled exactly the same way as the big city in the Czech Republic. However, they pronounce it New Prague instead of
New Prague,
Prague.
yeah,
Yep.
yep.
And then I also think of New Madrid, which is
Hmm.
in Missouri, I think. Like everywhere has this. This is like such a I could talk about this
Oh, for sure.
endlessly. It's so
Or, or,
fucking weird.
Oregon has a bunch of them, and Xavier is one of them, I think.
Oh,
Um,
well, I remember somebody hipping me the first time I went to Portland, where it was like, it's not fuck, what is it? There's a one of the rivers. Is it? There's a
w- w-
pronunciation, isn't it?
Willamette is a one
Willamette,
people
not
mess up.
Willamette.
Yeah,
Willamette.
yeah, it's
That's
not.
it.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Dude.
There's a lot of yeah, because this is the ancestral land of the Chinook people
Okay.
and a few different tribes, but like kind of collectively the Chinook. And so a lot of these are Native American names of tribes and other important things. So yeah, there's a lot of ones to mispronounce here.
It's endlessly fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you wanted
But
to
yeah,
move home, Lululemon Innovation. It's not a skate company. You're not doing
not a
skate
skate
shoes.
company,
Were
still
you doing skate
footwear.
shoes? Was there a Lululemon skate shoe?
No, there
Okay,
was never a chance.
I have to
There's
ask.
never a chance.
But footwear innovation, this is
Yeah.
right up your alley.
Yeah, I know. And I definitely tried to skate one pair of shoes. It's called the Cityverse. It's like a really thick cupsole. It's kind of like, it's like a T-toe. They had like it released like right after I started, and they made like a drop-in insole version of it to like test some things like in innovation. So I'm like, oh, this looks skatable. So I did try, but yeah, they don't use any leathers. It's like not technically a vegan company, but they just don't want to use animal product, and so everything's synthetic, which doesn't necessarily it can skate good, but it just takes more work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was no hope there. I just want to keep working on shoes and move home and
Yeah, I get that.
be with my family. So was doing that. My old professor from U of O was my VP of innovation, so I was working under her. And yeah, it was like seemed like a good fit. If I had to leave skateboarding, it seemed like the best fit.
For sure.
And I had really no hope of working in skate up here. Just because the jobs are so rare. Like at Nike, they stick around, and at Adidas, they stick around. There's a bunch of other skate or shoe companies up here that don't have skate. So yeah, I actually had I was like in final round interviews for a Nike SB job shortly after my mom had passed, and it seemed promising, but they went with like an internal candidate, which they always
Of
do.
course.
It's how big companies go. No love lost against them. Like I know it was a tough decision for them. But yeah, I think it was like Bryce Wong's old job, like when he left. He's another guy who's been in that company a long time, and mad respect for like what they're doing. But yeah, it just wasn't the right timing, wasn't the right fit. So I'm just like, all right, I guess I'll take what I can. And it took me a while to find the right position because even my family was like, don't just take a random job, just like
For
make
sure.
a good move and be happy. And yeah, I was pretty happy at Lulu, but just working on shoes at the end of the day and really great people there. And
Yeah.
I like fitness. It's a fitness brand. Um, but it wa it was cool getting to work on some stuff and, like, focus on sustainability, a little bit on running. It's funny you talked with, like, Silas and, the Unless crew, 'cause
Yeah.
they're using some materials that, like, we were looking into. Like, they're using this supplier called NFW who does, a synthetic leather called Mirum. They use it on, like, Unless they don't just do shoes, they don't just do clothing, they also have a couple shoes, and
Right, right.
so they're using NFW materials, which are super sustainable, super naturally derived, because most synthetic leathers are plastic, basically. But they have this proprietary blend of rubber and other natural materials to create like a pretty good synthetic.
It's amazing.
And I was like in my head when I was at Lulu, I was like, I want to get a sample of this material on a shoe that I can skate because like if it's like rubber based but synthetic, doesn't feel like rubber the way like a Nyjah upper does. Like that could be something cool. So I don't know. We'll see. I'd like to pursue that in the future.
I mean,
um,
that's another challenge, another quest.
yeah,
But
sustainability and skateboarding.
yeah,
But yeah, so that was. I mean, it was a good little stop in my career, but it only lasted a little over a year before I got laid off. Which is the first time I've ever been laid off, even though it happens a lot in footwear. And I survived a couple at Vans. I survived one or two, even in my short time at Nike. But it finally hit me. Lulu is trying to figure out what they're doing in footwear, and I think they have a lot of potential. And I think they're trying to pursue it the best they can. And like they're just like needed to cut resources just a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, there were only like 5 or 6 of us who got laid off in footwear. So they need to do what they need to do. No love lost. Still hang out with those folks, but it was funny. I felt guilty because I was already interviewing for Adidas at that point.
Nice. Okay, okay. So
Um,
maybe, like, you sensed something coming or just knew that there were other opportunities.
other opportunities came up, and I felt guilty because like I had had my professor, and like she was a great
For
boss
sure.
and like such a
Yeah,
great mentor, but she got laid off like shortly before I did. And
yeah.
at that point, I was like, all right, no loyalty. I'm going full in at this. I hadn't even interviewed for Adidas once by that point, but I had already like been like talking with a recruiter a little bit,
For
and
sure.
when she got laid off, and yeah, so I was just like working on my portfolio, mad, just trying to like update it with all the stuff from Vans that I hadn't put in. Like my portfolio to get in at Lulu was way different than like what I would submit trying to get in at a skate shoe company. But yeah, this opportunity came up at Adidas here in Portland at the office, and I heard about it. Like I was just skating the Adidas indoor park, and this guy who's now my boss's boss, Adam Brown, he like I ran into him there. He had worked at Vans. He didn't know I had moved home. I hadn't seen him since he took the job up here at
Interesting.
Adidas, and he was like, "Oh man, it's good to see you." Like, "Oh yeah, you should keep your eye out. We're looking for a designer.
Uh,
Like we're gonna open this up sometime." It's like you definitely should try to interview for it. And because he knows it's like kind of like a small pool, and so like yeah, I was like checking the Adidas website every day, and then it posted in May of last year,
wow. And you're just
and
like
so I
on it.
jumped at it. And then yeah, then my boss got laid off, and then I got laid off, and it just gave me more time um, to focus on that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, actually, I had my interview with my now boss like the day I got laid off from Lululemon. It was
Wow.
crazy,
Okay.
crazy timing, just how things work. And not like I wasn't like I'm not a very cocky guy, so I wasn't like, oh, I have this. Yes, this is the world working
Sure.
out for me. But I was just like, okay, at least I have something to work towards. I feel like I'm a good candidate for this. Like I love skateboarding. I have the background from my time at Vans that makes me a good candidate, and then also like my innovation experience too, and my hands-on. Like I'm just yeah, you
Yeah.
just like work with what what your skill set is, and know what separates you, and just talk authentically about skateboarding, and just I had a conversation just like this basically with my boss, like my now boss, and just to get it through, like what means the most to you in your
Yeah.
workflow and what you do. So yeah, so that it takes a while with a big company, but I was only unemployed for a month and a half. And
Beautiful. It's also a testament to just being good at what you do, you know?
yeah, yeah. And I'm like I was saying, like at the beginning, like uh, coming out of college, like I had like the interest in the skill set, but I was like lucky about timing. And this is one of those ones where I was like super lucky. And I know that a bunch of other talented people were going for this job too.
For sure.
Um, and so I feel really, really lucky, but also like, yeah, I've prepped for a decade for this. And this is like the dream. Like coming back to Portland, yeah, I did apply for Nike and I would have happily worked there, but like I had already done my time there, and I wanted to try something else, and I never thought something would open up at Adidas because I just know like people stay because they respect uh, the people who like guide skateboarding to like stick there. So people like my boss has been there for like 14 years, and um, it's just it's hard to get into. So I didn't even have like when I was like trying to move back, just to move back, I had no preconceived notion of anything ever opening up at Adidas. So when it
Sure.
did, I heard about this skating, I was like, oh shoot, this I need to put my all into this.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, just full circle, because like growing up, like we are talking about Matt Beach a little bit ago,
Of course.
like we all loved Adidas, where we didn't really necessarily love Nike when it first came onto the scene
Oh, yeah, that is interesting.
in
Like,
Portland, at least, like the
yeah.
microcosm of Portland. Granted, Adidas was in like starting like '98, I guess, with that first Mark shoe. Or Mark's first shoe was maybe '99, 2000, but
Yeah, that
he
was
was on
that
the
push
team in
with, like,
'98.
Quim, Jamal
Yeah,
Williams, Matt Beach,
yeah.
Dons. I forget if there was anybody else, but that
Even
was, like
Lance was on it,
Lance.
like
Yeah, yeah.
too, and a bunch of like local people like Mikey Chin, and so because of like the local representation, we're like, okay, we hate big companies, I guess, like us little punk skaters in the suburbs of Portland, but Adidas gets a pass because they hook up my friends or like people I look up
Oh, it
to, at
works.
least like
Yeah.
at Cal's Pharmacy, or Matt Beach, who is like the local legend. So a lot of love for that. And so that's, I think, like 25 years later, still like is in my heart, to where I'm like, when this popped up, I'm like, yeah, I think I'd feel really good about working for that skateboard division. Like, and yeah, just because they they get the pass. I don't know. No, just like
Yeah, man.
they supported the scene, and like Dave Yong, who was a developer for them for a long time, like he was just like a fixture on the local scene, like connected to Cal Skate and like Skate Church and Mini Ramp Champ, like, and he was just like flowing. If you're a size 9, he was flowing everyone because he was like wear test coordinator
Oh,
for a
wow.
long time there. So like a lot of people were just skating Adidas, so it just seemed more connected in a core way to skateboarding in Portland.
That
And now I'm there.
that's and now you're there. So it's cool. And how's it been?
It's been good. I'm yeah, just like 5 months in, and like
Yeah.
got working straight away on a pretty cool shoe. Like I wish like it's like I have Van stuff to show, but I like can't really, show anything from Adidas yet. Cause it's like it's going quicker. Like there our timelines are a little bit quicker for some projects. So it's not sometimes it's not the 18-month cycle that we're used to. So like I'm gonna see like an outsole I designed and like an upper I helped with come out like this fall. Basically like a year after starting. So
It's pretty quick.
yeah, super quick. And like I'm a size 9, so like I've already been skating the samples, and it's an exciting project. I really wish I could talk about.
You will. We
And
could do a round two someday.
yeah, for
Like
sure,
after
for sure.
after the
Yeah, I mean,
cleanup, reconvene, be like, here's this thing. I wanted to talk about it.
yeah, but yeah, it's cool. It seems like it's yeah. Again, everyone's like super connected to skateboarding in all facets of the business within skateboarding here, and like that ledge spot down the street I was talking about earlier. Like I help prep those ledges with like two of my coworkers who work like on like one's in marketing, one's more like on the sales side, but and yeah, we're just making it happen,
I
and
I also think that's so cool where it's like, and you tell me how well it translates, but if you work at a company that is, working on some sort of sport specific or activity specific product, it is really cool how it's like to be this deep in it, think about this stuff all day, you're going to be intersecting with the people who actually do it, which
yeah,
is so, so cool. Like they're going to be out running. I can't think of how many people where it's like, I work for Bank of America. I go to a Bank of America every day. I go look at the ATMs. That ad, that shouldn't say that. That should say this. Oh, I have 3 Bank of America credit cards. It's like people understand the products, but it's not like they're in so deep in skating. And like, I feel like it probably translates to cycling too. I mean, you tell me, but it's like people are into it.
yeah, yeah. When I was at Specialized interning there, like as a design intern, like there were like lunch rides, and people treated it like it was like the Tour de France. Like they were like, I couldn't hang. Like people were trying to win that race, and yeah, I think it's yeah mostly like active industries. I think like like people who work like designing like hiking backpacks. I think are like super into like backpacking and trekking and all that. So,
Yeah,
but skateboarding's even
yeah,
crazier because
I
it's
think the
right
difference
there.
is skateboarding and cycling and hiking are fun, and going to a Bank of America is inherently kind of lame.
Yeah,
So that's why, even if you need
yeah,
it as part of your life, it's still never that fun. So that's probably
yeah,
why.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's like that's the blessing and like maybe not even a curse of skateboarding though is like I'm thinking about all the time. I'm thinking about shoes all the time.
For
The
sure.
sep Like people talk about like separation of like life and work, and like I don't really have the separation, but I do have balance because I love
Yeah.
what I do, and I'm not necessarily working on or like stressing projects. I'm just thinking about skateboarding and the needs of skateboarding, which makes me better at my job when I clock in at 9, you know?
And that's super interesting. That just reminds me of an interview with Ken Burns that I heard a while back that I come back to a lot, where somebody asked him about work-life balance, and he was like, "Why would I want that?" You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and he's at the point now where not only does he make the movies that he wants to make, but he like works with his kids on them.
Yeah.
His daughter and like son-in-law edit them now. And he's like, "Yeah, I have the perfect life. Why would I want anything else?" Which
Yeah.
I mean, it's the thing. Like you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy because like now I have like worked a job where I wasn't as intimately connected to it
Yeah.
when I was like at Lulu, and so like I did kind of like get to sign out and not really think about it. But when I was signed out of that, I was thinking about skateboarding.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
I was skating all the time. Like I was like, yeah, there was like a bunch of spots locally like near there, and like I was like living with my dad, so I was skating like my hometown park all the time, and reconnecting with people after being gone for 6 years. So um, yeah, so it's wild to be back into that where it's like, yeah, my entire day can revolve around skateboarding.
So sick. Um, Love to hear it. Do you want to pivot?
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry, I could
No,
talk
no,
about this
no.
shit
I'm
forever.
having the best time, but we do have business to take care of, which
Okay.
is the following. All right. It's going to be a presentation. It's going to show up on your
Oh,
screen.
oh, cool.
The concept is about as easy as it gets. We're going to say this or that. Pick one, and we can talk about why.
Okay.
All right. And I don't normally use the Google slide thing. So that's how I do a slideshow. That's how I do a slideshow.
Yep. All
Okay,
right, I can
cool.
see it.
All right, first one. Let's start off. Seattle or Portland?
I mean, obviously, I have to take Portland here. The caveat being, I used to hate Seattle. Now I do not hate Seattle. I hated Seattle when I was a kid because of the Blazers Sonics rivalry
Of course.
exclusively.
Now there's no more
Um,
Sonics, so
Now there's no more
it doesn't
Sonics, and
exist.
I legitimately, I think, cried when the Sonics were taken away from that city. I
Oh,
felt for
well,
them.
yeah.
My freshman year of college, like I was back into basketball. I'd been off basketball for a little bit, but it was like Brandon Roy era. So I was like really caring. And when they got stripped away from that poor town, I was so bummed. And as I've gotten older, and like I have a couple family members who live up there, so we'd go up and we'd skate, like we'd hit spots or parks, like my brother and I. And so I've like always known it has a great skate scene, like the stuff that like 35th North is doing and Black Market Skates, like I just love. So I have to here pick Portland, of course, as a homer, but no love lost against Seattle. We're more similar than we are different. Like when I was a kid, I'm like, Portland's way different. I'm like, no, we're pretty similar.
Pretty similar, except for the places that you're not. And this could get me going on a whole
Totally.
Minneapolis St. Paul thing. I won't,
Yes.
but they're
Which,
the most different places you could ever imagine.
yep.
And I will die with that sentiment. Dunk or
Oh
grasshopper.
man. Oh man. I might get hate for this, but Grasshopper, hands down. I never skated a dunk till I worked for them, and it just never worked for my foot. Whereas like Grasshoppers did. I like a mid, I the strap, I would always do the strap unstrapped. Back in the day, had a couple pairs of them. And then when I was in sneaker free agency, essentially when I was working for Lululemon, um, because they don't make skate shoes, I kind of got to skate whatever I wanted for the first time in 8 years. I went back, and sure enough, I bought a pair of Grasshoppers from Commonwealth here to skate, and I loved them. I would have bought another pair had I not been looking down the barrel of working for another footwear brand.
For sure.
Yeah, so love you, iPath. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah, man. Like, can be divisive, but we figured it out. Half cab or dunk?
Yeah, gonna be half cab here for sure. That was probably the shoe I skated the most in my 6 years at Vans, and it was outside of the checkerboard slip on I talked about earlier, it was the most common shoe I skated from Vans as a kid. I'm quite particular, I'm quite fond of the half cab 92 cut with where it has like a separate toe cap. It does rip a little bit easier, but just I don't know, for some reason it allows, maybe it's the stitching there, it just gives it a little more body, fits my foot slightly better, and just like looks great, like the old clips of Fred Gall and stuff that I like,
Of
the old
course.
photos I love.
This is also the ultimate skate shoe discussion too, with like the real heads, and you're obviously a real head, but like the difference between the 92, the Anaheim, the like updated Skate Pro version. There are so
Yeah,
many like intricacies of half cabs. So
yeah.
just being able to have that conversation, I know I'm in the right room when that conversation
Oh,
comes
I
up.
mean,
That's my like litmus test.
we could get into talking about like the classics version that wasn't the original version that people love and were bummed when like Vans took it away when I was there, that had like
Right.
it had the embroidered half cab logo on the
Yep.
arm bar there.
Yep.
That opens up an entire another can of worms, which I could talk about for days. But just overall, every version I've skated of the half cab I've loved.
You're a half cab guy. It's easy. It's
I'm a
that
half cab
easy.
guy.
And you work for both companies, so
I did.
you have inside
I
knowledge.
have intimate experience with both.
Okay, half cab or Seattle. You can only the distinction is this: you can only skate half cabs for the rest of your life, or you have to live in Seattle the rest of your life. Which one would you pick?
Oh man, that's tough. That's the toughest one so far. Um, God, I like a variety to my footwear. Uh, I Man, but I mean I'd have to leave Portland. I'm I'm gonna choose just a half cab for life.
There you go, half cab
I,
lifer signed out
I like being able to visit Seattle. I love visiting Seattle.
for sure. Being trapped anywhere
They
would
don't.
be
They
hard.
also only There's only one footwear brand up there, Brooks. Who else am I gonna work for?
Brooks.
which I love. Brooks, they make great running shoes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Those are like quality running shoes.
Yeah, they're great. Good people there too.
There
Really
we
great.
go. Fixed gear or road bike?
Road bike. I was like anti-fixed in college. I made the you were asking about affirmations on your grip tape. I remember in the dorms my freshman year, I wrote one less fixie like on my cruiser board grip tape.
Amazing.
And I like vinyl cut like a template for it so that my like my the shapes of my letters were perfect.
That's
Um
so design mind. I love that.
yeah.
The maker mind.
Uh but caveat being there, like I've ridden a fixed on a velodrome when I was
Yes.
like interning at Specialized, and it was so fun. And like my legs are built for skateboarding, which means they're also built for fixed gear riding. And so I was like better than some of the other like interns who are amazing cyclists. So I have fun on them, but on a track.
There we go. And the intended use
Yeah.
of a fixed gear.
Track bike.
Track
Yeah.
bike. Call them, but let's get back to calling them track bikes because that's what they
Yeah.
are. Okay. Mini ramp or perfect flat ground with nothing really to skate other than the flat ground.
Uh I mean, my dream is to have a mini ramp in a barn somewhere in Oregon. Um, but I grew up skating more flat ground. We didn't really have like much of like we had a mini bowl at the Scappoose skate park growing up, but it was like poured terribly, so it was crumbling. So I never got good at it until like college when I was like closer to some like actual transition parks. But I think I can just have I think flat ground's all I need to like really have a good time.
Correct answer.
Spe-
Also,
yeah.
Borough Hall. Borough Hall is better than all other skate spots, even though there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Pet raccoon or pet koala?
Pet raccoon. I love a trash panda. They're I every time I see a clip of them like with their arms outreached and everything, I'm just like it just melts my heart. They just look so cute. If I don't know if they're legal to have as pets in Oregon, but I should look into that.
Probably not, but you know, maybe you can bend the rules a little bit. Bucket hat or beanie?
Beanie with long hair like mine, it's like truly one of the best ways to tame it while I'm skating.
Absolutely.
I briefly turned into that SoCal skater of like wearing a beanie all year round. My roommate was that way who skates, and like a bunch of dudes I skated with were, but I like, like I wear like a hair tie on my wrist. So like I do tie my hair back, but like it kind of looks lamer than wearing a beanie. So I just do the beanie.
Got it. Makes sense. Rodney or Day One?
Ooh, Roddy Mullen versus Day One song. I recently met Day One for the first time, like coming through an Adidas thing, and he was awesome. And like I've seen him skate in person a couple times down at like his local park in California. But so I love the guy. Also, I was like a Deca guy. Maybe I was gonna say Rodney because of like everything he's done for skateboarding, because that's the undeniable fact. He's the godfather of so many of the tricks that I do. But I was a Deca guy. I loved Second to None.
So good.
I loved Shiloh. Like I loved that entire team. I love the music. I recently looked for Deca stuff on eBay. I'm gonna go with Day One.
Love it. Love it. Day One or Haslam?
Haslam's sick. One of the more creative skateboarders of like my formative years for sure. And he always had some good music and good style too, and a fellow long-haired man. I'm a fan, but I'm gonna have to go again with yeah. I was like a little cheesed out on Almost, so I didn't really like that era. They're cool, like they did good stuff, but and I guess Day One still skated for them. But again, back to Deca, Day One.
Got it. Day One selected. So sick. Okay. Amazing. Thank you for participating. I'm getting kicked out of this room, so we got to wrap.
Oh,
that's it.
Amazing.
That's
okay.
it. Thank you so much,
all
man.
Right.
I will be in touch. All right.
All right. It's been a blast.
Thank you so much. All right. We'll see you.
All right. Later.